Okay, so I want to show you how to do one of those puzzles again. I sent you a document with a 4x4 puzzle and a 5x5 puzzle. So let me just show you. Here's a here's a 4x4 puzzle. It's 4x4, and that means the numbers 1 through 4 can be in each row and each column, and they can only be used once. So let's think about this for a second. Let's try to figure out where a 1 could be in this row right here. So, could a 1 be here? Let's try a 1 here, a 1 here, a 1 here, and a 1 here. Well, a 1 cannot be here because there's a 1 in this column right here. So, that cannot be a 1. Now take a look here. We're only using the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which number is 1 bigger than? You see, this has to be like a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or a 4. And 1 is not bigger than any of those. So that's impossible. So a 1 cannot be here. And for the same reason, a 1 cannot be here. So the only place for a 1 in this row is right here. Now what? Well, now things get a little bit tricky. We have to have a 4, we have to have a 3, and a 2. Let's try to figure out where the 2 would be. Okay, so let's try a 2 here. Let's try a 2 here. Let's try a 2 here. Okay, so the only number that 2 is bigger than is a 1. So that would mean that there's a 1 here or a 1 here. But there's a 1 already in this row here going this way. So this cannot be a 1. And that one can't be a 1. So that means 2 cannot be here. Whoop, cannot be. Get this here sooner or later. And a 2 cannot be here. So the only place for a 2 is right here. All right. Well, so now what? Well, let's see here. Let's try out an idea here. This either has to be a 3 or a 4. But if that's a 3 or a 4, okay, it could be a 3 or a 4. So let's find out what happens if it is a 3. Well, if it says a 3, this one's bigger than that one, and then that number is bigger than that one. So this would have to be a 2, and this would have to be a 1. Well, then that would require this one to be a 2 or a 1, you see? But if we play that's a 2, then there's 2 2s. So that cannot be correct. So that means then that this had to be a 4. And then that means that this has to be a 3. Okay. Well, now, if we look at this column, it has to have the numbers 1 through 4. And it can't be a 1 here because there's a 1 here, and there's also a 1 here. So the only number that 3 is bigger than, and that's what this symbol means, bigger than. The bigger side is on this side, the smaller side is on this side. So this has to be a 2. Well, now if we look at this row here, this column, 1, 2, 3, that means this number has to be a 4. Now, if we look at this column, this column has the numbers 1, 2. We need a 3 and a 4. But this one cannot be a 4 because then there's 2 4s. You see, you can't have 2 4s in a row. So that means this has to be a 3. And if this one's a 3, well then that one is a 4. Okay, so now what? If we look at this row here, we try to figure out what this number here has to be. This number here cannot be a 1, and it cannot be a 2 because of that number. So that means this one is a 3. And if that one's a 3, then this number over here is a 4. Right? And if you look here, this has to be then a 2. So notice 4 is bigger than 2, and then 2 is bigger than 1. And 4 is bigger than 3, 3 is bigger than 2. So all of these signs here are correct. Well, we got one number left in this column. It has to be a 1. And what do we have left in this row? Well, there's a 2. So that one has to be a 2. And then the last number here has to be a 3. And then we solved the puzzle. So that's how those work. And the 5x5 puzzle is just a little bit harder. But hopefully you could do these. Keep trying. It's good for your brain to do these thinking puzzles. So I hope you work at it and get it.